All right, it's going to be a big change at Sanford Stadium this fall. It's not the hedges. I've already talked about that. That's one thing that's happening. But uh, you can now buy beer at Sanford Stadium starting in 2024. This is a long time coming. I don't know how that will affect people who have been sneaking drinks into the games for such a long time. But I mean, you're laughing, Ryan, but it's true that's happened for ages. But now you can just go get probably an overpriced drink. How will that matter in any way? For revenue, it will matter a lot for Georgia, actually.
Yeah, that was my first thing. Financially, it'll be good for Georgia because people want to drink during the games, and three and a half, 4 hours. That's for some people, that's a long time to go without a drink, right? If they're not sneaking anything in there, they want to look. The truth is, a lot of people just want to drink for these games, right? Whether you drink or not, it's a huge drink. All of these SEC games, college football, football in general, it's a huge drinking event. So it's going to make a lot of money for Georgia, I would think. Is it going to increase the rowdiness at the game?
Well, that's the
Maybe a little
question.
bit.
Oh,
Maybe
you
a
think
little
so?
bit. If people, yeah, I mean, if you're drinking enough of them,
Well, here's the thing that I wonder is, will this slow down binge drinking before the game?
no,
See, I don't, I,
it's not. I
I
don't
don't
think
know
it's
that it
going to
will with the
change
students.
anything
Say
as
that
far as
again. Go
that
ahead.
goes. I don't think it'll change anything as far as that goes because one, the student, this is not directed towards the students because a lot of the students are not going to pay. I'm going to guess. I don't know. I've never seen an SEC beer price, but I know at pro stadiums,
Yeah.
it's anywhere between $14 and $16 for a single beer. We're aware. And I don't know what Sanford would do. I would imagine it would be at least 10. That would be my guess, that it would be at least 10 for one beer. Do you know exactly what they're going to serve?
I don't. He's
I,
the. It was beer and seltzers. They're not going to do liquor at these games,
No,
which I
no, but
don't
people
blame
are
them.
people are going to sneak it in and then mix it all together. But
Oh.
I mean, I think it's definitely not targeted towards the students. Will there be, drunk students that say, "Screw it, I'm going to grab a couple"? Yeah, that's going to happen. But this is for the adults. It's for the tailgaters that want to keep drinking during it, and it's a money move. It's a money move, and I think it'll make them extra money for sure.
Clearly. I just think about like my wife. She would at Clemson. You can leave the stadium, and when they leave the stadium at the half, they go tailgate for like 20 or 30 minutes, and about 10 minutes left in the third quarter, they go back into the game. Well, you can't do that in the SEC. Obviously, there's a lot of places you can't do that anywhere. Clemson's one of the, but if there were beer in the stadium, would they stay in the stadium? Yeah, I think they'd be more likely to do that. I think I think for years, decades, there was I wouldn't say it was an overreaction, but there was an acknowledgement that mixing young people and alcohol is not always a great combination, and so that's why you saw on college campuses beer was not served. But then you would go to, like, for instance, the Georgia Dome for a bowl game or any bowl game, or a Chick-fil-A kickoff game, stuff like that, and there's beer everywhere. Well, or Jacksonville. How long have they had Jacksonville? How long has beer been in Jacksonville? Forever,
But
basically.
I mean, yeah, the whole time it's
Have you?
a
Can
pro
you
stadium.
recall? Can you recall when it was not there?
Mhm.
So it's been it's
They've got no, they've got a lot.
they've got a lot.
That's the place where at every corner, like
Yes.
no matter how expensive it is, it's there.
Yeah, and I think, and I could be wrong about this. I think Jacksonville has liquor, but I might be wrong
I think they
about
do
that.
too. Maybe at like certain bars.
Right, right. I think liquor is a different conversation, perhaps, but um, I think it totally makes sense. Just to, I don't see why beer would be evil necessarily. I don't know why it wouldn't belong in a college stadium because 18-year-olds are playing. Is that the thought? I
I
mean, the 18
guess.
year
I
olds are.
guess the it probably has a little bit to do with the amateurism aspect, but we're throwing that out the window. It's
Yeah, it's
gone. It's
gone.
been gone. So if there was a time to make this type of transition, if that was the reservation for it, then it's time.
Like, let me ask. So, like, when you go to the Falcons with your dad, or
Mhm.
let's just say y'all going to the Braves, the Falcons, something like that. Like, what's the likelihood that you're going to get a drink of some sort?
I'm probably not.
You're
But
probably
but
not.
I have never really enjoyed even before when I was just going to games as fan. I haven't been to a Georgia game as a fan since
19,
20, I guess. I went to
20.
I went to a couple of the COVID games. So it's been a long time, but I'm not the kind of person that wants to be obliterated during the game. I care so much about it that I want to register what's going on. I want to be in the game. I'm drunk off the game, Dean. So
But I guess you don't have to. Well, let me just make this very clear clarification. You don't have to be. If you drink, you don't have to get drunk,
no, no, no.
right?
Yeah, no, you don't. But no, me buying a drink at a game has always been unlikely just because it's ridiculously priced. And I like to drink, but I don't need to drink that much. So if it's just, I mean, that's the real problem there. So I don't. This is not for the young audience. That now what you will get is a ton of people are just going to be plastered, right, when they go into these Georgia games because
They
they're
already
drinking.
are.
They already are.
Yeah.
So a plastered person is way more likely to just make that purchase. So they'll
But they
feed off
shouldn't
of
be
the college
served.
students a little bit.
If you're clearly not well, you should not be being served alcohol. I mean, that's
I mean, a lot of people are not. You've been to these games a billion times. A lot of people are not well at these stadiums, right? I mean,
yeah. I don't. I think it was worse when I was younger. To be
you think
honest with you.
so?
Oh yeah. I think the student section is far more responsible. I think they're not as yeah. I think it was absolutely wild at times in the past. I remember when I was a child. I mean, very young, maybe 5. I remember the way that it was, and people, it was just too much, I guess you could say. But I think even in the '90s, I think it was. Uh, I don't think it was necessarily out of control. I just think that the students now, I don't think they drink as much as people did in the past. Frankly, I think that they still party, but I don't think that it's the same thing. And I think that, but I don't know why we keep talking about students, which this is really not catered towards. I think this is catered towards people who are like, hey, let me just go get a drink and I'm gonna watch this game. Instead of a Coke, I'll get a whatever, and take it from there. And I mean, I wouldn't go. It's rare that I go. I'd say it's rare that I go 3 hours without drinking something. In the morning, it's water, and then from that point forward, it's usually some sort of diet Coke or whatever. So to say to somebody, hey, you got to wait 4.5 hours to drink a beverage, whatever it is, seems silly. They could be drinking Sprite. It doesn't matter. But I think it's a good thing that this is an opportunity. Not all we Georgia should have gone to this a long time ago. They've been selling. When did you say you saw alcohol at baseball? Was it baseball or basketball? It was
So they
basketball.
started doing it at Stegman within the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I want to say that was 2 seasons ago is when they started doing it.
Yeah.
So this would be season 3 of them selling, and so I would imagine it'll be stuff like twisted teas and like seltzers and just typical beer. A couple of local ones, right? Obviously, a lot of local breweries in Athens.
Sure.
So that's the kind of stuff I think you'll see in Sanford Stadium. I think I answered your earlier question with like a different lens. Like at the Braves games, I always get a beer or two,
Okay.
right? Because it's just I don't know, it's part of the experience,
But
and
the
that
Falcons is a
will
no
benefit.
for you.
I don't just never drank at the Falcons. I don't know. I grew up as a kid going with my dad,
Yeah.
So and we go
But if
here and there,
like
so
if
it's a little
like you
different.
and your buddies were gonna go, wherever. I'm trying to think at the
Probably,
Hawks.
yeah.
When we went to the Hawks
Probably.
game, did when we went to the Hawks game in Los Angeles, did y'all? It wasn't much, whatever it was. But
I don't think we did drink. We have at the like at both Rangers games we
the
definitely drank.
Rangers, yeah, I just
Yeah,
think it's a different. I don't see why they didn't do it earlier necessarily. I understand why they tiptoed their way to it. I do think that there are times when the Sanford crowd, I guess I understand the liability, but I also kind of think it's like, hey, everybody can figure it out, I think. And I think it's a good thing that they've got this going. And I don't see why it's seemingly at every other sporting event except at, collegiate football games and really not at a lot of collegiate football games at Vanderbilt, at, other places, you could buy beer. It was no big deal to them. So It's just a big change that's coming to Sanford. I think a lot of people will appreciate it. And my suspicion is 4 years from now, no one will care. Like it won't be like it will be such a big non-issue. Thanks for watching.